welcome. Let me turn my mic on. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you can hear me, give me some thumbs up. I'm excited to be here. Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. Happy Saturday. All right. So, are we excited to learn? Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for joining. If you're watching the replay, let me say thank you in advance for tuning in. We are always excited for new students, new people, doesn't matter. Wherever you are on the music spectrum of learning, we welcome you. So if I haven't said already, I'm Miss Christine. And this is live in the music room. So I'm going to give you your official welcome. Welcome. It's a wonderful day here, Saturday. I hope you had a wonderful week. I had a good week. I'm not going to complain. I could complain, but it's been great. Hold on. I'm getting an echo. So you know how it goes. Give me 1 second. All right. So sorry about that. So I'm excited. What are we going to talk about today? We have something sort of like it's nothing new. This should be very, very easy because we're reviewing all of our previous lessons. This is all the Unit 1 review. So today we're going to be reviewing the treble clef lines and spaces. So this is back when we started lesson 2. We talked about the lines and spaces of the treble clef. And let me just see, I see mobile music came in. So happy Saturday to you, mobile music. Thank you. All right, always can count on mobile music. Thank you. So as I was mentioning, we're talking about the treble clef lines, E, G, B, D, F. And of course, we're going to talk about the spaces, F, A, C, E. And we're going to continue learning all of those lines and spaces moving up and down so that you have some fluency and feel like your muscles are getting stronger, because the more you do this, the easier it's going to get. Trust me. So I decided to take a pause, review these lessons before we start new concepts. Okay, so that's why this is a unit review. And of course, we're going to play some games. So we will go back to those fun little games that we have, and we will be putting those on our music on the music store so that will be available to help you. And then, of course, we always have our worksheets and our quizzes, which is this week's homework. So we have a lot to talk about this week. You can tell me how you're coming along with your music studies, okay? And even if you're watching the replay, you can tell me, how's it been going? How are you doing with your lines and spaces? Last week, we didn't talk about lines and spaces because we're talking about that today. But last week, we talked about drawing the treble clef, drawing the bass clef, what instruments use the treble clef, the bass clef. We even talked about another clef, 2 other clefs. Let's see, that can be like a bonus question. If you remember what the the 2 clefs that we talked about, we didn't go into great detail, but I introduced 2 other clefs other than the treble clef and the bass clef from last week's lesson. Do you remember what those clefs were? I'll give you a few minutes to see if you remember, and then I'll tell you the answer. Okay, so something that the viola reads. So that's a real good, easy. I almost gave you the answer. Okay, so that would be the alto clef. That was the alto clef that we talked about briefly. Good. Briefly, yes, the alto clef. Thank you, mobile music, alto clef. And then there was another clef. Do you remember that one? Okay, good. I see two for one is here. Tenor, yes, the tenor clef. Good job. So, of course, we're not going to talk about the alto or the tenor clef, but isn't it nice to be familiar with these little clefs, right? So you may find yourself in a conversation and you won't seem like it's foreign. You'll be able to say, yes, I was in live in the music room and we briefly talked about the alto clef and the tenor clef. So it all comes together. All right, without further ado, let me hear you say, I'm ready to learn. I'm ready to learn. I feel like I might be coming down with a little cold, little bit of sinus, so you may hear something in my voice, but don't worry, the learning still continues. So let's put in the chat, ready to learn. I'll actually put it in myself. So I'll say, are you ready to learn? All right, are you ready to learn? Okay, that's my question to you. Are you ready to learn? And it looks like two for one says, ready to learn. Okay, all right, good, good, good. So let's get our video lesson ready, okay? Good, mobile music is ready to learn. Wonderful, wonderful. And welcome again, welcome again. Okay, so here we go. Let's learn, and I'm going to be asking you some questions, so please pay attention. All right. Okay, so I'm not able to figure out what's going on, and I don't want to keep you any further. So we're going to, just like in a live performance, we're going to improvise and do the best we can under the circumstances. This is what live stream and live performance. If you find yourself on a gig and you tested the microphone, you tested the speakers, you hear yourself in your in-ear monitors, and you wake up with a cold and you still have to sing or you have to play or you have to do something. What are you going to do? You can't freak out, you can't run home, and you certainly shouldn't cry about it, but you just kind of face it. So we're just going to go with it, okay? So here we go. Let's get started with our lesson. Okay, so today, as I mentioned, we're going to be dealing with a unit review. This is lesson 9, and we're going to focus on the lines and spaces of the treble clef staff. Okay, so if you joined us last week, as I've already mentioned, we reviewed the musical staff, which you should know, 5 lines and 4 spaces, and we talked about drawing the treble clef and the bass clef. And when you connect those two staffs, the treble clef and the bass clef is connected by a brace, and we get this grand staff, right? So you should know that really solid. And if you don't, I encourage you to go back and visit lesson 8. Okay, we're really moving up. We're at lesson 9. I can't believe it. But today we're building on that foundation, okay, by revisiting lesson 2, and you can watch that as well. But we're going to review today, so you don't have to. And this is going to feel familiar, and that's what it's supposed to do. So if you know the answers, great. This is what this lesson is about. You want to know the answers. You want to feel comfortable. So this is, repetition. This is repetition, trying to get the brain getting used to these symbols, locking it in. Okay, so let's get started. All right. And if you have questions, please let me know. Thank you, two for one, for telling me to go with it. Uh, we're with you. I appreciate that. I really do. So thank you so much. Okay, so here we go. Let's start with revisiting the notes. Now, there are several different notes in music, but we're just talking about those oval shape. I was told that my ovals look like biscuits of some sort, but it doesn't matter. Make them as close as a circle or oval, as I say. But music just written on a blank piece of paper doesn't really tell us much, right? We need more information. So what do we have to do? Well, we have to put those notes on a staff. Now, here I have my notes, and I could put it here on a space. Do you know what space this is? Because you know how to create a music staff. So this would be space 3, okay, because we count from the bottom to the top. And then if I take this note and put it here, this would be what? Line 4. We count from the bottom to the top. Line 1, line 2, line 3, and line 4. And I can get really fancy and get a little highlighter. Let's see. Line 1, you see that? Line 2, you got it. Line 3. This is lesson 1, so nothing new. And then this note is on, whoops, line 4. Don't judge my lines. And then here's line 5. Okay, very, very easy. Now, the spaces are space 1, okay, and we'll just space 2, space 3, and space 4. I can make my highlighter a little bit larger, but I'm not going to do that for right now. Okay, let's continue. And then I can put this note here on the first line, right? But right now, we still don't know a whole lot. We need more information. Okay, now I see some questions coming in, so let's see if I can answer a few questions as they're coming in. Why do the notes not have names? That's a very good question, Mobile Music. Why do we not know these names? We just know that they're on spaces and lines, right? And let's talk about that. I'll answer that question in just a moment, Mobile Music. But first, let's distinguish line notes versus space notes. And we kind of answered that question already. But we count from the bottom to the top, which I mentioned, and line notes have what? Lines going through them. You can see here that the line is going through it. Now, there's a reason why we don't know the name of these notes. We just know that they're line notes, but that doesn't tell us what to play, what to sing, or anything. We just know that they're line notes. But we're going to get there in just a minute. I don't want to go ahead of myself and then confuse you. So there's a real method to my teaching, as we say. So here we have some space notes. And the space notes, I like to say that the line goes around the notes, or the space notes live between the lines. Okay, so this is space 1, this whole little area here, and space 2, space 3, and space 4. You get the idea. Okay, now let's move on. So as Mobile Music had mentioned, Mobile Music said, well, where is it? Why do we not know these notes? Why don't they have a name? And we certainly need more to read and write music. So what do we need? Well, we need a music staff. Well, we had our 5 lines and 4 spaces, right? Yes, we did. And then we need a clef. Well, in this case, we're talking about the treble clef, but we've already learned in lesson 1 that there are other clefs. See how smart you are? Okay, and then we need notes, okay? And there are different types of notes other than those oval or donut looking notes. We're going to talk about more of those, but for right now, this is what we need. So this is the key. The key ingredients, Mobile Music, is the clef, okay? The clef is needed to name the notes. If you just have staff, the music staff, and notes, that's not giving us enough information to give us letter names, right? So what do we have to do? Well, you might be wondering, what is a clef? Okay, and so a clef is a symbol used to assign pitches to notes. That's how we're able to get the letter names. If you have no clef, you have no pitch. Okay, so someone is saying that you remember. Good, good, good. That's correct. So it's starting to come together. This is part of the reason why we do the review. Excuse me. Okay, so that it starts to click. Now, what does pitch mean? You probably heard this word used a lot. Okay, if you sing off pitch, your family members will tell you, right? If you're something doesn't sound good, we use this word quite a bit, pitch. But what does it really, really mean? So pitch is how high or low a tone sounds. So a single sound, a range of music, a range of sounds. For example, if hopefully you can hear this, I don't know if I'm having tech issues, but if we started here on a low note, we don't have a clef, so we don't really know what these notes are yet. But we should have a clef here, and that was my error. I should have a clef here so that you know what these notes meaning the letter names. But let's assume that we have a clef here, and this first note is low because it's at the bottom of the staff. And here is a note that's on the top part of the staff. This note would be higher because we can look at it visually and see if a note is at the bottom of the staff, it's going to naturally be a low note. And if it's at the top, it will be a high note. Good, you can hear the keyboard, so that's very, very good. So we have a low sound, and then we can have going up, you hear that high sound, okay? So we have a high and a low, okay? And we'll keep it simple, but that's what we mean when we talk about pitch. It's those high and low sounds, okay? All right, now, I'll skip that. Now, just for our instrumentalists out here, because this class is for everyone, not just our singers, not just our piano people, anyone. If you play the tuba, the bassoon, the viola, whoever you are, we welcome you all, okay? You're all are welcome. That's why this is live in the music room. It's broad for a reason. So what about those large instruments that we see maybe during a parade, or if you're fortunate enough to visit and go see a symphony, okay? You'll see these instruments. When you see these large instruments, what kind of pitch do you think you're hearing? Would you be hearing a high sound, or do you think you're going to hear something really beefy and low? Okay, put that in the chat. Let's see. Give you a few seconds to answer that. What kind of sound would you hear? Would it be high or would it be low? Let's see, because we're going to hear some of these sample instruments in just a moment. Okay, and I know that there's a delay, so I'll take that into consideration. Okay, would it be a high sound or a low sound? We're talking about pitch. Okay, so it would be a low sound. It would be a low sound. Let's listen to the tuba. Let's listen to it. Hopefully it'll play. Let's see. Okay, all right. Was that a high sound? High, I'm going to use the word pitch, okay? Was that high or low? Was the pitch high or low? He played various pitches, but the overall sound of that tuba was in the low register, okay? So the larger the instrument is, the lower the sound will be, okay? All right, did you hear the tuba? Please let me know if you heard the tuba, by the way. Okay, and the answers are coming in. I have to scroll through so that I can see your answers. Okay, yes, low, low, low. Okay, thank you 2-for-1. Okay, and I see mobile music is coming in here with a low sound, low pitch. Yes, it is. All right, now let's listen to the bassoon. Do we have any bassoon players here? Okay, okay, and yes, you were able to hear the sound. Thank you, 2-for-1. This really helps me, okay? And as you will hear week after week after week, I'm going to get better and better. And it seems like every Saturday something goes wrong. You know, that's going to be our running joke here. But thank you. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep working through these glitches until it finally fits. All right, so let's continue listening to these low instruments, low pitched instruments. And so the next thing we have is the bassoon. And I was asking if we have any bassoon players. So if you're watching the replay and you play the bassoon, shout out to our bassoon players, okay? All right, and let us know in the chat. Okay, so listen. Okay, it's a short one. Let's hear it again. I like it. All right. So, yeah, you can hear that low sound, right? All right. These are just examples. They're short, but I think you get the idea. Let's listen to the double bass, okay? And obviously, that's very, very large instrument. You have to stand up to play this instrument. So, of course, it's going to give you those nice, rich, bottom, low, beefy sounds, right? Pitch sounds, that is. Pitch. Here we go. Okay, did you hear that? All right, so that's a great example. When you listen to these larger instruments, they're going to give you great bottoms. Okay, when I say bottom, that means low pitch sounds. Okay. All right, but we can't forget our smaller instruments, okay? So by the nature, if it's a smaller instrument, what kind of sound would we hear? Would it be high or would it be low? We're talking about pitch, so it's the high and low of the sound. So yeah, it's going to be high. It's going to be high. So let's take a listen to the trumpet. Whoa! Okay, did I frighten you with that? That was really powerful. But yes, yes, it was very high, right? And we know trumpet players can, those who can really play, they can blow that horn and you can get some really high sounding, some pitch out of those instruments. Really, really nice though. And if you play the trumpet, let me know. Please let me know. It'd be wonderful to get some brass instrumentalists on the show here. Okay, and yes, it was loud. So I apologize out there if I kind of blew your ears off. I didn't mean to. Okay, so next we have the violin, okay? And that's a very popular instrument. And that, of course, we know we talked about last week reads the treble clef staff. So if you play the violin, let me know. Let's take a listen to the violin. Right, beautiful, beautiful. The violin, you can hear those wonderful high notes. It has a range. Now, when we talk about high, it obviously can play some lower notes, but by the nature of its size, it's not going to get near as low as a tuba or a double bass. Okay, so I want to put that in perspective. And then we have, what do you see here? We have the flute. Do you play the flute? Anybody play the flute out there? Let me know. You can let me know on the replay if you play the flute. Okay. Okay, it's short. So these are wonderful clips to give you an idea of pitch when we're talking about high and low. As far as instruments are concerned, with the size, you can naturally kind of get an idea of what kind of pitch you're going to hear just by the size of the instrument. So if you have any questions about pitch, put it in the chat or put it in the comments if you're watching the replay before I move on to our next section. I hope everyone is enjoying this learning experience. Okay, give you a few seconds for that. And don't be shy if you're watching if you're here live, please say hello. We welcome you all. This is how we grow. I don't even know if I mentioned to like and subscribe, but I'll remind you before we say our goodbyes. Okay, let's continue learning. So now, we know that in order to read music, we need a staff, we need a clef, and we need notes. And we understand the meaning of a clef is a symbol that assigns the pitch. So we understand now the concept of pitch. But now we need to learn about or review the music alphabet. And you should already remember from lesson 2 that we need the music alphabet, and we use the first 7 letters of the alphabet. And I have it here in a circle for a reason, because it just continues. Notice that if we started on note A, we go to B, C, D, E, F, G, A, and it just continues. There is no note H. Okay, so all we do is, if you know the first 7 letters of the alphabet, well, then you're well on your way to learning even more music, right? Because this is the foundation. What we're talking about is the foundation. So if we started here on C, then we go back to D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Then you can even go backwards, B, A, G, F, E, D, C. You can skip notes, skip C, go to skip D, go to E, and then skip F and go to G. You can go backwards. I mean, the music alphabet has to be so solid so that you can find your way around, whether it's the keyboard, reading music. That is going to allow you to understand what the letter names are on these lines and spaces when we put it all together. Does that make sense? All right, you can give me a thumbs up. All right, good, good, good. Okay, so we're going to have some fun, because I told you this was a review, and I'm not going to sit here and just talk to you. Okay, maybe I want to be a rapper, but I'm not. Okay, so we're going to have a little fun. So this is the all aboard, get on the train, and let's have some fun. So we're not going to do all of it, okay, because I don't want to keep you forever here. This is just a review. So let's start with the train. Let's start with number 1. I'm going to get my pen. Any particular color you would like me to use? I'll kind of give you an option. Give me a color. What color pen should I use? And we're going to deal with, maybe we'll do the first 2 or 3. Let's see. Let's see. Okay, any colors? So I have red, orange, yellow, green. Excuse me. So what color should I use for my pen? Okay. All right, I see red. Okay, so let's do red. Thank you, Mobile Music. Okay, so red it is. So I'm going to give you 30 seconds. We're going to start with train number 1, okay? And I am using my mouse here, so my numbers and letters might look a little crooked, but you can still read it. It'll be legible. So I'm going to give you 30 seconds, and I'll put a circle around number 1. Okay, and your job is to find the missing letters of the music alphabet. Okay, and so you should know we use the first 7 letters of the alphabet. And so if the note starts, or the letter starts on note B or letter B, then you have to find the missing letters. Okay, so I'm going to give you 30 seconds. I think that's fair. If you need a few more minutes, I'll give you a few more minutes, but let's do it. Go. Okay, put your answer in. 21 seconds. All right, this is the music alphabet, okay? All right. Okay, so that's our time. Let me take my clock down. All right, so let's see. Did anyone get the correct answer? So we know the first letter is B. Then we went to C. What letter comes after C? It would be D, right? Good. What letter comes after D? Then it would be E. Good. All right. And then what letter comes after E? Right, F. Oops. So I told you I'm using my mouse, and this is part of the humor, is watching me make these errors too. Okay, F. And then we have G. And then we have what? A. Okay. All right. Good, good, good. So if you had those answers correct, then give yourself like a thumbs up or absolutely correct. All right. Good job. I see D, E, F, G, A from 2 for 1. Good job. Okay, let's do the next group of letters here. Number 2, train number 2, where we're starting on the letter G. Okay, and I'll use this time, I'll use the letter color black. Black is my favorite color. So we'll use number 2. Can you see that still? Okay. All right, so 30 seconds on the clock. Here we go and go. Music alphabet. Come on, you can do this. You can do this. This is a review. Work it out. Let's do it. Do it. All right. Okay, that's our time. That's our time. Okay, did you get your answers in? Okay, we started with G. We started with G. Okay, so what letter comes after G? Or before G, rather. Okay, because remember, let's go to our circle here. So if we started here on G, then the next letter would be A. Why? Because there is no letter H, right? Okay, good. I think it's starting to click. I think it's starting to click. So this would be A. Okay. And then what do we have? B. Yep. And then we have C, like Christine. D. And then E. What's next? And then F. Good, good, good. Okay, so that's good, good. I see the answers coming in. A, B, C, D, E, F. That's correct. All right, we're going to do one more, okay? Should we do one more? Let's do one more. All right, so this is train number 3. I'm going to get another color. Let's try orange. Miss Robin loves orange, so we'll use the color orange. Okay, shout out to Miss Robin, always helping out. 2 for 1, mobile music, contemporary school of the arts. We can count on Miss Robin. Okay, so here we go. Car number 3, train number 3. I'm going to put the 30-second timer on and go. Let's see. Music alphabet. Let's do it. I believe in you. You can do this. Okay, come on, come on. Get on board. Get on board. 3 seconds. All right. It's nice to have fun while you learn. Okay. All right. So let's see. What do we have to do? This seems a little tricky, huh? Because we have note F all the way in this box here. But don't get confused, right? So you can just, let's go to our circle. Let's go to our circle. Here we go. So we are, and I'll erase some things here. So let me erase this so we don't get confused. We have letter F, right? So here we have letter F. So you can think, okay, well, the next note would be G, or the note before it would be F. So you have so many different options. There's no one way to figure out the answer. So you can say, okay, well, here's F. What comes next? Okay, well, G. And then, you know, you got to come back to the beginning. And so here you have A, right? And then it's just going through that alphabet. B. See how easy that is? C. Then we have E. This is my E. And then, oh, did I make a mistake? A, B, C. Oh, I forgot D. Look at me. Okay, you're supposed to catch that. All right, let me get my eraser. I got to know my alphabet here. Okay, D, and that way that will happen, right? You're going through it and you go, E, wait a minute. No, I forgot D. See how you'll figure it out? This is why we do the review. And then we have E, okay? Excellent. Does that make sense? Okay, and I see the answers coming in. Look at that, mobile music. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, or A, B, C, D, E, and then she's got the G there. Okay, I fully understand what you're saying. Oh, and 2 for 1 also will acknowledge you as well. Okay, so this is part of the learning experience that we have here and live in the music room so that you really get that hands-on training. And even if you make a mistake, because we're all human, right? Look at all the challenges that I go through every Saturday, but that doesn't stop my learning. That doesn't stop me from trying. And that's what we want from you, okay? Watching the replay, even if you're watching right now and not saying anything, I see you. Okay. All right. So we're going to move along. Any questions about our music alphabet? Was that fun? Okay. Was that fun? We try to make it fun. Okay. So we're going to move along here. Okay. So now we take this music alphabet information and now we apply it to the treble clef staff. Okay. So we know that the treble clef has 2 names, right? It's the treble clef and the G clef, right? Why do we call it a G clef? And some people say, well, because it kind of looks like a stylized G. Well, yes, if you can see the G, but more importantly, this curl, it's here, it's circling the second line here, okay, which I have in red. And so it's circling or wrapping around the G line. And so any note that's on this line, any note that's on this second line that has a treble clef, which is the clef that tells us what? The pitch, then you know that that's going to be the G note, okay? That will be the G note right here. All right. Yeah, I'm probably coming down with a little bit of some kind of bug is trying to get me. Okay, but that is our note there. Okay. All right, now let's move along. So, oh, here it is. Here it is on the keyboard. Okay, so if you have a keyboard at home and you see the note is on the second line, we automatically know that that is note G. Okay, here is G. And then if you know your music alphabet, because we just did those drills from our Get On Board, right? Our worksheet, which we will put in the music store, okay? Then you already know that the next note would be an A. But now let's talk about those line notes and space notes that we talked about earlier. The G note is a line note. Well, how do you know? Because the line, even though the line is not, you can't really see the line going through it, it's on the line, okay? And because it's on the line, that makes it a line note. Here's the A note is sitting between the 2 lines. So this is a space note, and we follow that pattern of line, space, and we follow the pattern of the music alphabet. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then we go back to what? A. So here is G, and then the next note would be A. Here is G, the next note is A. And you can hear, is A higher or lower than G? That's a good question. Is note A higher or lower than G? Here's here's G, and here's A. Okay, here's A, and then G. So A is higher than note G. Okay, let's see. Anybody ask any questions? We're going to move along. Okay. Good. Okay, here we go. So I already talked about this, but you can now see it. Here is note A on the keyboard, and here is the note, the space note for the treble clef, which is note A. Here is A. Okay, makes sense. A is higher. Yes, A is absolutely higher than note G. Okay, good. So here was G and then A. A is higher. Good. So what would come after A? If we continue to go up that staff, then we have note B. B, is B a line note or a space note? We have G, A, B. Is B a space note or a line note? B would be a line note. B would be a line note. That's correct. Good. And so we're going in an ascending order, okay? And so the notes or the pitch would go higher. That is correct. Higher, higher. Wonderful. It is a line note. I see your answers. Thank you, mobile music. Okay, and here it is on this. Here is it on the slide. Third line is B. Third line is B. So G, A, B. And then if we keep going up, let's just keep going up. Okay, the pattern just continues. Line, space, and the music alphabet continues. So once you know your clef, right, what did we say? Then you can know the pitch. You can assign the notes the pitch, and then you know your music alphabet. Well, now you know the letter name. Okay, so everything connects. You can't have one without the other. They all work together. Doesn't that make you feel just great? It really makes me excited, I have to tell you. Okay, so here is the pattern. We have a line note, note G. We have a space note, note A. We have a line note, note B, and you get the idea, all the way up to this space note G. Okay, and we talked about ledger lines in our previous lessons, but we're only going to talk about the lines and spaces of the treble clef that live on the staff. Okay, so this was sort of a bonus one. Okay, so it's time. Oh, and here it is on the staff, note C. Okay, and then what note would come after C? We'll continue. Note D. Good. And keep going after D. And D is on the fourth line. Okay. And then after D, we have E. Okay. You can hear that. Okay. Yeah. And then after E, what do we have on that fifth line? F. And you can hear on the keyboard, everything is getting higher. The pitch is getting higher and higher and higher. The further up we go up the staff, the higher the sound, the pitch, the notes will get. Okay, and then of course there's G, G, here's G, and then A. And then, of course, what comes after an A, look at that. That's our ledger line that we talked about in our previous lessons. And then after A comes, right, even if you didn't know that note, you already know, well, if I'm on A and then A is here, then the next note is B, and A was a line note, so it has to be a space note, the very next note. So it's steps, 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 steps that we're doing here. Okay, and this is the baseline. Baseline. Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Let me just see if there are any questions. Okay, okay. All right. Well, I'm excited. I'm excited to move along. Okay. So now let's just have some more fun and talk about those notes that fall below the G line, which is line 2, right? So what would that look like? Now we're going backwards. So if we were on the second line, note G, but now we're going backwards, the sound would go, the pitch would go lower. Okay, so here's F. And so what would come before note F? Good, note E. Good, E. And then what would come next? D. Good. And then come on, come on, come on. I know you know this. Okay. And look at this D. It's outside the staff. Okay. So we have the next one is note C. Good. But what kind of note is it? It's middle C. Middle C. Notice that it sits right in the middle of the staff. Good job, okay? So hopefully that puts everything in perspective for you. Okay, and of course, you may learn that remembering a sentence is going to lock everything in. So we have every good burger deserves fries. You can come up with whatever you want, anything to help you. Learn the music alphabet, learn a sentence that'll lock it in. All of these are tools to support your learning, okay? All right, so we're going to move along and we're going to play this quick little game. These are just the line notes, and see how well you know your line notes of the Treble Clef Staff. Are you ready? Let me make sure things are working because they weren't working earlier. So let's have some fun. Okay, all right, here we go. So your job is to name the notes, okay? So the first one here is on the 4th line. What would the letter name be? Give you a couple of seconds, and couple of seconds. And it should be note D. Good, okay. What about this note? It's on the 5th line. All right, I'll give you a couple of seconds there. And it should be F. Good. And this game is on our school store, okay? We're almost there. And now what would this note be on the 1st line? First line. Come on, I know you know it. First line would be E. Just remember, you can remember the sentence, or you know this is a G clef. Okay, what about that 5th line? 5th line is at the top. These are the line notes. E, G, B, D. This has to be an F. Good. Okay, we just had that. All right, wonderful job. We'll stop there, okay? So now let's continue because those were just the line notes and we have space notes, right? Now this one should be a little bit easier because it spells what? Face, F-A-C-E. So that's pretty simple, not as difficult, say, as the lines notes, but the line notes aren't difficult either. So here's F-A-C-E for our space notes. And now let's test our knowledge with the lines and the spaces. Okay, so we're going to do both. Are you ready? Here we go, lines and spaces. So here is our first question. It is on space 3. Space 3. What is the letter name? We have F-A. Good. If you said C, that's what we're looking for. C. Okay, here we go. All right. Now, this is on the 2nd space. It's on the 2nd space. Okay, 2nd space. So F-A. Okay. And even if you didn't know, you know the G line is on the 2nd line, so the next letter after G would be A. And so if the 2nd space is A, this note has to be B. Yeah, has to be B. Good. Okay, two more. All right, and now we're on the 4th line. Okay, so you can work your music alphabet, or if you have it locked in because your brain can memorize letters E, G, B, D, F, or the sentence, every good burger deserves fries. You have all of these tools. What would this note be on the 4th line? That would be D. Good. All right. So we're going to stop there because I know my time is, I'm getting running out of time and I want to finish up with you. Okay. Nice work. Okay, good. I see you 2 for 1 with your D note. Thank you so much. Let me take my clock off. Okay. So what did we cover today and why does this matter? Why does it matter to know these notes instantly? Well, first of all, you don't have to guess. right? So if you're a music student and you're kind of guessing your way around the staff, you don't have to do that anymore. You know how to read the lines and spaces of the treble clef staff. And hopefully through these exercises, you won't have to count the E, G, B, D, F, or the F, A, C, E for your space notes. You'll start to be able to recognize it instantly. Okay, so with everything like math or anything in life, the more you do it, the better you're going to get at it. And you're not going to find yourself slowing down to figure out the answer. You're just going to know it through drills and exercises. And then that's what we call music fluency. Okay, so this is why this matters. This is why it was important to stop and say, let's review. Okay, let's review. Okay, so here's what we talked about. I already kind of mentioned that, but now you know the staff structure, you know the role of the treble clef, right? And you know the lines and spaces of the treble clef staff. So you are well on your way. You are well on your way to learning and getting more and more proficient with reading the treble clef staff. So I want to encourage you to get the resources at our school store. Let me just put that up for you. Okay. All right. Here is the resources that you can download for free. Okay. We did not charge you to get these materials. They are free. So visit the store. Okay. And this will help you. All right. And if no other questions, any other questions? All right, it doesn't look like I have any questions. So I'm going to say my thank yous again. I'm going to say, have a great Saturday. Thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it. Also, please be sure to subscribe and like. Okay, we're trying to grow. So this is very important. If you can do that, I say thank you. Thank you for watching on the replay and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Remember to keep music in your heart, and I'll see you in the next lesson. All right. Bye for now.